Action Figure Evolution.
No one can move the Blob.
Hey everybody, it's Glenn. I've been sorting through my action figure collection and I thought it would be fun to mix all my blobs together and give you an idea of the visual action figure evolution of this character in plastic form. It's fun seeing them together like this because generally collecting I keep figures together in their series. So all my Marvel Legends figures will be together, my X-Men animated series figures will be together, and so on and so on. I don't usually display or play with figures of different series with one another, so seeing them together like this, it's quite grand. Quite the Hall of Blob. And here we have the first ever Blob action figure from 1995, was part of the X-Force sub-series of the X-Men animated series, 5-inch action figures, figures based on the Fox Network animated series. And Toy Biz sold this figure with what they called a rubber blubber belly action feature, and basically that means his head, arms and legs are a hard plastic, meanwhile his body here is a soft squishy rubber. Not only did they give us that great rubber blubber belly, Blob here also came with 2 accessories. The first being a chicken leg there, which he can hold in his hand. And the second accessory being this ham here. Now unfortunately on this figure only his left hand is designed to hold these accessories. I think it probably would have been better on the Blob here if his right hand had been set up to hold the second accessory as well. I'm sure the Blob here couldn't get food in his mouth quick enough, and holding food in his both of his hands would have enabled that. Unfortunately, Toy Biz didn't have the foresight to provide poor Blob here with that, so he's eating one course after the other, a chicken course followed by a ham course. I guess these accessories could also be used with other figures. I guess maybe Blob here could take his ham and beat Colossus over the head with it. I'm sure that's probably not how the Blob likes to use his food, but there is that option with playing with these figures. Now this Blob figure was actually, it's one of the rarest X-Men animated series X-Force figures. Of course now the animated series figures are entirely in the shadow of Marvel Legends, which kind of revolutionized action figures and action figure collecting, and prices of these guys plummeted as a result, but still this is one that is harder to track down than a lot of them. I actually remember buying this figure at the Forbidden Planet in London back in 1995, and it's one of only 2 occasions where I actually had the guts to have a member of staff go out back and check the stockroom for me. Now I know it's a desperate thing to do and I try to resist that urge as much as possible, but some action figures you just have to have, and you don't see it there on the shelf, you see red, and track down a member of staff. The other figure I did that with was Darth Maul from episode 1, that action figure. Like I said, usually in toy shops, you know, I kind of walk casually, try and look cool, and try not to see red when my the figure I'm after isn't there. But sometimes it pays to be pushy, as with Blob here. If I hadn't have made a member of staff to check out back, I'd have gone away a unhappy Glenn. And next up is the figure which I'm sure most of you watching this video will be most familiar with. It's the Blob Builder figure from Hasbro's second series of Marvel Legends after they took over the license from Toy Biz. For those not in the know, a Builder figure is comprised of collecting parts which were packed with individual figures and assembled to form one entire figure. It's an idea that I loved in action figures. The Builder figure, I think, is one of the best ideas ever. It kind of allows you to collect bigger figures and for them to make bigger figures available to us. Of course, if you want to think of it more cynically, it encourages you to collect every figure in the series just so you can have your Builder figure. But as much as I bitch and whine about Hasbro de-evolving the art of action figures, Blob here is, in my opinion, the jewel in their crown of their stint on Marvel Legends. The sculpt on him is incredible. He features lots of articulation. Features this weird exorcist head. Revolves 360 degrees. Doesn't vomit pea soup though, fortunately. Blob's probably never vomited in his life anyway. And like I said, the sculpting on him is great. Let's see if we can go handheld, get a bit closer, so if you've never seen this Blob before, you can experience him up close. The face really captures the kind of obese, evil bully that the Blob is. And you also see all the ripples of fat there in his arms, and the ripples in his legs, and his flesh has this kind of texture, detail to it. It isn't just a flat flesh tone there. It's kind of a bit speckled, which is cool. And like I said, as much as I complain about Hasbro, I should be grateful that they gave us this Builder figure Blob, because he is one of my favourite all-time figures. If my house was to burst into flames right now, this Blob would be one of the items, probably the item that I would run from my house, clinging to, saving him from the flames. Here's another Hasbro figure. This figure right here was released as part of the XMen Origins Wolverine series of figures. He's probably like a 4-inch figure. I mean, he is 3 3/4 inch scale, but shh, don't tell anybody I own a 3 3/4 inch scale figure. I have a reputation to uphold, but don't bust my balls. It is the Blob. I love him. I had to own this. He originally came with a Sabretooth figure and does a kind of fastball special action. He's kind of has these spring-loaded arms where he's supposed to hold Sabretooth in the air and then launch him at Wolverine or whatever action figure of choice you want to launch Sabretooth at, really. bit of an odd pairing and action. There was also a Colossus and Wolverine set which has the same action feature, which, I mean, being Colossus and Wolverine makes a bit more sense, this action feature. Hello, Fastball Special. I mean, I only bought this because it's the Blob. I guess if you're a kid, you kind of have to have these gimmicky action features to encourage play. I mean, the action feature does mean that his arms kind of can't really be posed and are kind of set in that way. I have seen customizers remedy this figure with taking these arms off and providing him with another pair, which I could do. It's not that high on my list of to-do projects in terms of customizing. But other than that, he's a very decent figure. Has a great tummy profile, which you always obviously look for in a Blob figure. The big bulging belly up to his moobs, man boobs. And plus, like the Hasbro Builder figure, does also feature quite a decent head sculpt. A lot of the Marvel Universe figures, just the scale that they are, really don't have that much expression in the face. This is quite an expressive face. And last here, and well, let's face it, probably the least, is the Marvel Superhero Squad Blob. This Blob figure was also released as part of the X-Men Origins Wolverine series. It came in a box set of Superhero Squad figures. I think there was a Iceman, a Colossus, I guess there would have been a Wolverine, perhaps another figure, I can't remember. And that isn't important, quite frankly, because I only bought the set to get this Blob figure. I am quite a fan of these Superhero Squad figures. I mean, they are largely intended for kind of, you know, child hands, and they kind of follow on from the Spider-Man and Friends 6-inch series of action figures that Toy Biz did. But there is a bit of a cult with these Superhero Squad figures. I'm sometimes surprised by how much some of them go for on eBay. If you look for some of the rarer ones, they kind of go for crazy amounts. So I kind of don't really just brush these off as, you know, being kind of little kids' toys. There are some serious collectors of these out there. And Blob here does look cute. His arms are articulated. That's about it on this figure. Well, he's definitely the cutest Blob figure of the bunch, and his size is a convenient snack for our builder figure Blob. Action Figure Evolution. Speaking of evolution, I should mention there was a Blob figure that was released as part of the XMen Evolution animated series action figures. It's not a figure I own or am that particularly interested in owning. I am not a big fan of X-Men Evolution, the animated series. If you ever seen it, it's the animated series which kind of got bankrolled off the back of the popularity of the first X-Men movie. And if you think First Class messes with X-Men continuity a bit too much, do not watch X-Men Evolution. It kind of messes way too much with characters and so on and so forth. But the Blob figure isn't really, is a completely different character design, looks nothing like the classic Blob as we see here. Anyway, that's been Action Figure Evolution. If you've enjoyed it, maybe sometime I will dig out different versions of the same figure and do something similar. Just one closing thought. You've really got to feel sorry for Pre-Legends Blob there. He's stuck peering straight into Builder-Figure's butthole.